guys, welcome back to another Mask Momentum video. Today we're going to go over the calling in Phuket that happened a couple of weeks ago. You know, Dromai is still legal in this, but just want to go back and watch this gameplay because it is important to keep watching it as well. Doing a little bit of breakdown here. We got the GOAT, the Katsu GOAT on the left, putting to him. By far one of the best, if not the best Katsu player in the world right now, playing. And he's playing against Dromai in the top 8 of this calling here. Is the 6th seed, so his opponent did get the choice. He was 5-2 going into day 2. 4-0s his way into top 8 to get that 6th seed to make it here. Looks like our opponent here decides to go first. Pops that gold token. Is going to play Sigil, go to 43, and then he's going to arsenal his card and pass it over. This matchup is decently favored for the Katsu side. I know a lot of people say this is like better than the old Fi used to be from Dromai, and Illusionist players keep saying that it is better than it used to be, or better than it would seem. I doubt it. I don't think it is. After playing it a couple times, I just believe that it is significantly. It's just Katsu-sided if you just know what you're doing, and there's just so many lines that are so good for Katsu in this matchup that, I don't know, this is just pretty favored for the Katsu side. So let's see how Pudding actually plays it and how his opponent wants to play it here. Big thing against Katsu is because he is playing Mask of Momentum here, which is the only matchup that Pudding says that he is playing Mask of Momentum versus instead of Lynx this entire weekend. You don't really want to be playing, you know, these wide Rake the Embers and multiple dragons in the same turn, because they do just kind of are fodder for the Katsu deck, which is the reason why it is pretty bad in this matchup, because that's how you get your value from Dromai, because he's realistically only going to be playing like 3 to 6 poppers in this matchup no matter what. So had a little bit of awkward start here because we have a yellow bonds that we're getting pitched, so he just can't do Kadachi to get go again here. So it is just going to be a 4-4 here, and then he's going to arsenal card. His opponent's going to take 3, which is just going to be that Sigil that he played on turn 0, and then both sides of his prevention arms are going to pop here. So looks like he's going to use an Ash to play a Chroma here. Looks like his hand is going to be a CNC, and E-Strike, a Be Like Water, and a Blue Dishonor here. Something that Katsu is really good about doing currently is that he can block really early. He's an aggregate that likes blocking, which is a very weird centric because of Bonds, right? It's like Bonds really likes you having a whole bunch of different combo lines in your graveyard already. It's kind of like a like Bonds to me, every single time I see it, is kind of more like a like mid-game play than anything like that. If you've ever triple bond somebody, this shit's broken. Especially with an Art of War. It's like literally the only reason Katsu can win against Victor, although that is like probably his worst matchup in the game currently. It's just being able to Art of War triple bonds people, and they just explode. Like, and you're like, it's like, I think I've seen many clips of like on camera that are just like 50-some damage Katsu lines, and it's like, okay, maybe that doesn't happen too often, but it is actually decently often if you think about it, to do like 50-some damage, right? We're looking at so you can see in his hand he has the Be Like Water, and then the E-Strike, and he's actually going to block with this Dishonor, because of a Bonds play. Like later down in the game, you want to have a Dishonor in your, you want it in your trash here, and he's going to come in for E-Strike, most likely just for 7 here. Just get some good mid-range value, kills the Chroma that came out with the CNC, and then takes 4 off of the 0-4 Draconic. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name, but and then blocks out that Snatch, because if you let the Snatch hit, he's probably just going to Snapdragon Scales it because he just wants to get the value out of it. sometime in this game from the Dromai side, but Dromai wants to somewhat survive and be able to trade. He's going to take this full 7 here, go to 33. Dromai really has to put pressure and try to flip this game pretty early in and not allow Katsu to get like a hand that he wants to keep. That's like the one reason a lot of people have detested that this matchup is a little bit better than 5 the past, because 5's hands are so consistent, and this is going to be 5's hands are so consistent, but Katsu sometimes has some pretty brick hands. They're pretty awkward, need to line up a little bit more often than other, you know, aggro decks or aggro like decks like that. So it takes the Raven Stubble for 4. There's an Uvia on top. It's gonna look like a Yenderai. Yenderai is pretty interesting because there's an endurance counter on it. You can see that like the Ash thing, because I know what Dromai's on camera usually have like at like official events they want him to use like the Ash under it and then like flip the dragons every time. You can kind of tell like this Dromai player like doesn't really flip his dragons often, because like I'll be honest with you, 90% of the time your opponent already knows like what the dragon does by the artwork, because it's been like so much in, you know, Dromai is already LL'd by the time this will come out, but everybody knows what Dromai, like all the dragons do already. So it is kind of funny watching like old coverage or like coverage where like they want it the correct game state, which is kind of funny. It is funny to me, because it is a little bit different, you know, because I know with my locals, like there's barely people that like flip the dragons at this point. Like I think after like maybe a month and a half of like playing against Dromai, like pretty much everybody knew every single dragon in the game, what they do, like mana costs, like everything about like power, toughness. So we're going to go with this Be Like Water into the Aswell. Here's going to take for 3, and then Katsu trigger does trigger if it goes into a dragon still. We have a descendant gust wave now. It's going to be 5 to the face here. So we got the Be Like Water Descendant, we got the Bonds, and then we do know that there's the Dishonor in the graveyard here. So he can have the full Dishonor line here from Katsu. Yeah, Katsu it just says whenever a ninja attack hits, does not care if it's in the face or an ally, which is very, 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 very important, especially in this matchup. Just takes the 5 here. And then this is going to be Bonds. This is on hit draw card as well. This what is it called? Oh, am I forgetting the name? Dishonor does have to hit a hero. Can't just hit that dragon for free, or it'd be very good. Dishonor has to hit the hero that it's against. But this Bonds is going to draw him a card if he hits with this. So that is decently important to see. You can't let this Dishonor hit basically at all. If Dishonor hits versus Dromai, they can't get Ash and they can't get Ash and they can't get Go again. So it is incredibly hard for Dromai to even win the game. It's almost pretty much game over if it hits. So it's 4 Go in here on the Bonds. On hit, draw a card off the Mask of Momentum here. Alright, so we're going to block for 5, and then we're going to come in with that Dishonor for 4. So block for 6 here. We have the Ancestral going to 5. I'm gonna draw a card. We have that. Oh, Arwar to give +1/+1 in the breaking skills. Go to 7. Game is over. Well, if he doesn't have a defense reaction here, game is actually just over. Yep. Yeah, game's over. Yeah, okay, well, Dromai gets hit by the dishonor. It's over, you know. Flip the flip the hero, you know. Doesn't have a hero ability anymore. Just had a Ravenous Rabble in his hand, so yeah. I mean, he's gonna block for 3 here, take 1. We were like pretty even, and then the Dromai does look like he's playing a decent amount of attacks, at least in his list. We have 25-27 here. All right, there's they're just making sure that everybody knows that they did get dishonored here instead of the flip thing. All right, and then blocks 4 on that snatch with the equipment piece plus that 3 block here. Takes up that tunic here. What you do is like pop the endurance from the it pops the endurance from the under eye here, and then you can Kadashi face if that's what your hand does. I think the Dromai can still somewhat win this game. Has a chance of still winning this game because he has the whole bunch of attacks in his deck, and Katsu can be a little bit awkward, but you would need to be very specific to be able to get into this game from Dromai's side. Basically, like the hard part as well is like you can't remake Ash now because you make the Ash through Dromai's ability, right? So you would still get the go again because of the and he just clears the dragon because if you just get rid of the dragon, they can't really do anything. So I believe they still get the go again because of the no. The weapon says they can just attack. It doesn't say that it gets go again. Dromai says they can go. Yeah, so he can't make Ash and can go again on the dragon. So there's like so many cards in his deck that actually is just block 3s because he can't. Realistically, he's not going to be able to cast dragons. He has Tome here, so this is going to be able to cycle 2 cards here. Lost in Thought and another card. Pretty interesting they has Lost in Thought in this deck versus Katsu. I always think Lost in Thought as a card that's like pretty good versus all the decks that don't have a lot of poppers here, and it's kind of endgame combo, but probably doesn't have enough cards to like realistically play a decent game versus Katsu anyways, and at least it blocks, and it's just a red, so. Attack with CNC on Pudding. I think like man, with the amount of rabbles that have been gone and like other stuff, this is a pretty interesting one to be able to see if he could win. He's gonna pitch away that Thamai because just furnace it away because there's nothing he can do with it. 4 card just attack with CNC and pass, pretty bad here. But Dromai can't really do much. His hand probably would have been significantly better if he could play the game, but because he got dishonored, pretty hard. Search check red here. Tried and true Katsu. I'm like pretty glad that this that Katsu became a little bit better recently, and people like started to realize that it's like pretty well positioned. It's well positioned. Has like actually is quite good in the besides like the Victor matchup. It's also just like cool to see like the WTR heroes doing well again. I think Renner is super underrated. I think Renner is pretty good right now. So you see he pitched the bonds. to attack with the surging, and then he's pitching this blue to come with the with double Kadachi. He's threatening like that 0 to be able to, if he hits with the Katsu on the 4, he can discard it into something else, kind of bluff it. Probably has a Bonds in his arsenal. That would make sense. But just gonna E-strike back here. So Booney is at 19. It's 1924 right here. He's gonna take a decent amount of damage here, but he still has like CNCs and like other cards that will make it, that would be pseudo poppers here. I know he's playing standing order the Pacific weekend, which is a pretty cool tech to honestly see, like standing order being able to be a pseudo popper, because you can put the arsenal on the bottom and it gets +2 attack, is like super cool to see. That was something I was pretty interested in seeing when he was doing it versus his Prism opponent in Swiss. I was like, damn, this is some cool technology that I don't really think a lot of people were thinking of specifically. I know I was heading into the Pro Tour was trying to reverse engineer his deck a lot, and I think I got pretty close to it going in to that PT weekend. Did not end up on Katsu, just played Kano, obviously, but it was pretty interesting. I think Katsu is in a really good spot right now, and you know I love playing ninjas, and unfortunately the Victor matchup is pretty bad. But besides that matchup specifically, I think Katsu's pretty good right now. Even after the Dromai rotation, I still think he's going to be good. I think he preys on the Warriors decent amount of the time, because eventually the Warriors can't block specifically, and they're trying to have a very even game, and Katsu just goes burr one turn and then kills you. So with the Bonds package versus them, so, and he doesn't really mind blocking early as well to fill up his graveyard. So we have another Surging Strike. It's going to attack for 5, and then it's going to get fully blocked out here by Dromai, and then he's going to come with a natural red Whelming here. So be 4 with Go Again on hit, draw a card. Just snatch with Go Again if it has the combo. Quite good. So gonna sink below from Arsenal. Then we're gonna see a Kadachi for 1 here. He's gonna take the 1. Then we're gonna have standing order for 4 here. Block the 3, take 1, go to 22. Burn them on. Like, there's just so many cards in Dromai's deck that are just terrible now. Like, the previous turn he red tomed, just pitched 2 cards and passed the turn. And then, because he couldn't play anything, and then kept like a defense reaction, and then now we're going to a turn to where he had a block with like burn them all and stuff like that just don't have text anymore because of Dishonor, because he realistically can't play dragons or anything like that. But a little unfortunate. I still think the block for 6 is correct on the 4, because unless he has literally Ancestral, like he had to have triple pump. 1's already on the board. If he has only double, like Ancestral plus the arms, like you pretty much think that he probably only has 1 of them. Maybe he has an Ancestral because he kept the card in his hand. Go to 6, and it's like, okay, if he gets lucky enough to draw out off the top, it's perfectly fine. But did just have the Art of War in the arsenal as well, just completely gets blown out pretty much the game on that spot. So see what else he can do. Always looking at the graveyard, trying to figure out what else he can do in this game to close it out. Pitches another Dishonor. I think they were like, oh, why didn't you make Ash? Get Dishonored. Kadachi into a Surging Strike here for 5. Drawn back-to-back good red Surgings here. Very important. Oh, and we have the red Whelming from the Arsenal. So you drew double red Whelming the previous turn. Arsenal's the second one. Still 4, go again. Okay, another sink below. Does not have a pump on this one either, but it's gonna be a Bonds going into it. See what he's gonna get from Bonds here. There's a decent amount of options that he's played through the game. Depends on if he wants to arsenal that last card or he wants like a Gogan target here. If it's like a second piece or like a final thing in the line, he could also just get another Dishonor here. Not for like the on-hit effect, but it just does come just in for 4. Can't get Dishonor because he pitched because Dishonor doesn't have another one in his deck. Never mind. Okay, so he's getting the spinning wheel kick from his deck. He's used 2, so should have a third one. Just double checking real quick. That is something like when I first, I remember on Outsider's release, I was playing a like Katsu Bonds deck at AGE, and I was playing Bonds. I remember one, I didn't read it correctly. I didn't know you had to banish the card first and then search your deck. I was like, oh yeah, I'll search my deck. Like, I'm gonna choose this and like I'll banish it from my graveyard. And then I didn't have one on my graveyard. And then I was like, oh boy. But it was like day of release, so I was like, oh man, my bad, guys. But no, I was 100% losing that game no matter what. Even if I could do that, but I remember like playing like tournaments on like release weekend is always like the most scuffed thing, because if anybody's playing like any of the new decks, you have like no idea if your deck's good or like the decks you could play against. Like half the time you're like reading all these cards and you're like, okay, I've read this card, like I've maybe like read this card like one time when it got spoiled, but I don't actually know what it does. And it's like, okay, you have to banish the card and then go find it, and you're like, oh man, it's really funny. That's one of my favorite things about Flesh of Blood, and I hope that continues. That we just get to have. I hope they keep scheduling like, I think the sealed callings like basically on release weekend or like weekend, like the weekend after, like they did in Hartford, was incredible. I think those are super cool, and this should be definitely a thing. Pretty much every release, I think sealed callings are really good right when the set comes out, right? And then start filtering into CC ones like later down the line. But we got 3 Gogan here with the Be Like Water. It's blocked out by the CNC, and I got double Kodachi. Just playing like Kodachi attacks here. And then we have the Fluster Fist for 4 here. This will have on-hit draw card and pop the Breezer Boot, so defense reaction is kind of needed on this one. Can't just block 3 or not block this, because he will be able to come in with at least one more attack with the Breezer Boots. Mask momentum here. Comes with a dust up here. Just cutting the damage in his hand real quick. Says no block, take 4 here, go to 14. So gain 3 from the sigil that he put there. He's an arsenal, a different card. And then we're gonna make that Ashwing to actually. Just another Kodachi target or a Mask of Momentum enabler here. Looks like his hand is Art of War, E-Strike, and a 100 wins here. Depending on what his arsenal is, I think you could start with Art of War, just getting rid of the E-Strike. Drawing 2 cards. Alright, he's gonna start with the Kadachi first. So he's gonna go one on his opponent. You go one at the dragon. So play 100 wins here. Now it's gonna go 3, go again, and then now you can bluff the Art of War +1/+1 here to get that extra draw off the mask momentum as well. Alright, this is gonna do it. He's gonna give it +1/+1. He's gonna take 1 here. He's gonna be able to draw a card and use Katsu. It's like a Warmongers, a Surging, and a Winds of Eternity. So get rid of the Warmongers doesn't really do anything. He decided in this matchup because he has to choose. It's like fine early. It's kind of free from the Katsu side as well. And there's another 0. Okay, does it, and then he's gonna get the 3rd red Whelming Gust Wave here because he did draw this Surging Strike yellow here. This would be 5 go again. He's gonna block for 3, take 2 here. He's probably gonna double walk this Whelming because you definitely don't want to give your opponent an additional draw here. This is gonna be 5 with go again here. Off the red Whelming. Block 5, and then he's gonna bonds here. This would be 4 go again. He's gonna put your opponent down to 6. And then banish a Dishonor. To take 4, go down to 6 here. This Dishonor is going to come in for 5, so he go to 1. Pretty good Art of War turn. Gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of values. Art of War's a 1 for 5. And gets to cycle 2 cards, which is really good. Does not get to, unfortunately, does not get to double Dishonor his opponent this game, but, because it was a Whelming, but still pretty funny. You see them laughing, having a good time. It's always like something in Flesh and Blood. You always see, like, even in like somebody's winning or losing, like both people are pretty much laughing at the end of the game, like 90% of the time. This is also a pretty interesting game with the Dishonor. You don't get to see that a lot, so. Oh, and he gets this bonds here. So I'm gonna choose that 100 wins as well, so it's gonna be another 3 with go again after this bonds. So 3 go again with this is in the favor scene. Then we got the 100 wins here. And that's going to be it. Putting Tom wins the quarterfinal match in the Katsu versus Dromai match here with the cool dishonor. Honestly, cool dishonor. That's kind of funny to see. You don't get to see that often, especially on camera here. So good to watch that. See you guys in the next one.